Hey, good morning, Patriots. It's good to see you because you see us, and that's a good thing. Welcome back to Wake Up Patriots. And since you're waking up and you're a Patriot, you're in the right place. And I can guarantee that. Or your money back, right? And speaking of money back, here comes Chris Cordani. Chris, good morning.
That's right. Money back, but it certainly isn't a nickel back. That's definite.
No nickel back for me. That's right.
Right.
or Bareback Mountain. By the way, did
Imagine
Bareback
Dragons.
Mountain get washed out? Was that over near Asheville? I don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about that later. So no. I'm going off on tangents already, and it's going to get us in trouble.
I'm a tangent
But
man.
without
There we
further
go.
ado, Karen Turks, Karen, say hello to the good Patriots. Hey, Karen.
Wake up, Patriots. I'm so glad I'm here to do Jesus Calling because based on the top of the show, I think that's probably going to be a really good place to go, Tony.
We need Jesus.
We're gonna
That's
need him.
right. And he's not call and collect like last time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to jump in the chat in a minute because obviously everybody's talking about what's going on in Asheville, North Carolina. And I know our audience is very faithful and we're all praying. So, the first thing you said to me is, do you want to get to Jesus Calling right away? And I said, yeah, I think in light of, what's happening right now, we should. So it's a good one today. Worship me only. I am the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, dwelling in an unapproachable light. I am taking care of you. I am not only committed to caring for you, but I am also capable of doing so. Rest in me, my weary one, for this is a form of worship. And it goes into saying that sometimes we forget that the Lord is sovereign and that my ways are higher than yours. Underneath service, you might secretly feel that God isn't reaching out to you because sometimes he can be a harsh taskmaster. But the worship of God is lukewarm because I am no longer your first love. So you have to make the Lord your first love. And basically that the invitation never changes. Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest. Worship me by resting peacefully in my presence and my presence only. So all about having faith. And I think we need a lot of faith today in light of everything that's going on politically and Mother Nature and otherwise.
Yeah. And just to that point, Karen, I've spoken with folks in the western part of the state. And thank you, folks, for checked out on me because I'm in North Carolina. We're on the eastern part of the state. We're fine, but thank you for your concern. With that said, prayers and support to those in the western part of the state and near Asheville. 29 inches of rain in 1 hour, unimaginable. And they just weren't prepared. Nobody saw it coming. And so, President Trump was in Valdosta, Georgia. I had some friends of mine meet with him last night. Tennessee, Florida, North Carolina were all hit. So the prayers for those folks. Thank you, Karen, for that. And I appreciate your being here to go through that. So we'll continue to see. I mean, it's great that President Trump's there with his resources. Apparently FEMA, not so much because unless you're a person of color, you're kind of like, not a priority. What can I say?
Well, that whole equity thing, and I think we're probably going to talk quite a bit about that. It's just unbelievable in light of everything that's gone on. And, it's so hard to fathom that this happened in such a Western area. I think for so many of us, you think hurricane and you immediately go for coastal, but this thing was so massive and the mudslides so bad and the rivers and the lakes and flooding that here we are. But this was unimaginable. Nobody could have predicted this. The weather people didn't predict this. Nobody knew it was going to happen. This is Mother Nature at its finest. And, it's incredible that we have an administration that outwardly says things like they say, and that, hopefully everybody's waking up. Wake Up Patriots, name of the show, but we need to shake them awake if they're not.
So speaking of waking up, also, I want to bring in our other guest because we have breaking news. John Mills, Colonel John Mills. John, welcome to Wake Up Patriots.
Hey, thank you, Tony, Chris, and Karen. Good to be with you this morning.
So, John, my first question, are you really awake or is this an AI version of you that's pretending to be awake? Apparently it's against the law to have an AI version of you. So I just want to check to make sure that it's really the John Mills I know.
Well, no, I'm not a hologram. It is me. But no,
we want to talk about high tech this morning because obviously at the time we're speaking and taping this and people will see it in the reruns, Israel has started at midnight last night, their time, 1 October, the ground incursion into southern Lebanon. But man, oh man, did do some intelligence, amazing intelligence preparation of the battle space, operations preparation of the battle space, over 300 special operations events leading up to this, to include the pager operation, which took out, but basically mapped and removed the mid-level Hezbollah leadership, and then the next day the walkie-talkie op, where they took out another layer of leadership, and then started lobbing JDAMs into bunkers. Which, man, oh man, I mean, and by the way, one of the things that I've talked about, and maybe I don't know if you want to comment on, but the Iranians have confirmed that there were leaders in Nasrallah's bunker with him. Nasrallah being the ex-leader of Hezbollah, right, Chris? He's ex because he's like ex out.
He's ex alive.
Ex out.
Ex alive.
And yeah, oh well.
Ayo.
So sad. And by the way, he had the blood of 400 Americans on his hands. So it's,
Yes.
even Lloyd Austin, who I criticize often, said, no, that guy needed to be dead. And oh, by the way, we had a $7 million bounty on his head. So apparently we even that, because he was part of the Beirut barracks bombing and embassy bombing. Bad dude. It goes back to the 80s. But the issue to me, John, is that how many Iranian leaders do you think was in the bunker with Nasrallah when he got hit? Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm sure there was a number of IRGC members in the bunker with him. I mean, that's their job, is to go forward and cause mayhem. Iran is basically back on its heels, and the 3H club of the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah are being eviscerated. Hamas is essentially gone. The Houthis have been degraded severely, but that Hezbollah has almost totally been wiped out. But this is so important to step back and understand the strategic context. This was Iran's mission in the worldwide campaign to topple America, led by China. Phase 0, which in military terms is the planning phase, began as soon as the Biden team led the disastrous escape from Afghanistan. That's when Iran began the planning with the 3H club. Phase 1 was October 7. Phase 2 was immediately taking out Hamas. Phase 3 and 4 was going after the rest of the 3H club and Iran. Israel has totally established absolute escalation dominance. Every time, it's like watching the Roadrunner and Coyote cartoon. I mean, every time Iran or the 3H club attempts to do something, they get schwacked, and big time. And the pager operation was, I happened to be in Taiwan just before that operation. That was a brilliant operation. It's called supply chain interdiction, and their ability.
Yeah, I wonder who came up with that.
Yeah, well, we've I actually go back to one of the original supply chain interdiction operations, and anybody can look at I can't remember if the U.S. government has ever officially acknowledged it, but it was 1983 when we gave bad industrial control valves to Russia, the Soviet Union, and remotely blew up their Siberian pipeline, which devastated their economy. That was, I know the guy who ran the operation. It was the original supply chain interdiction operation. The only thing I can say is be careful, because they play it back and replay it against us. That's my only concern with this. But Nasrallah, Hezbollah, very bad folks, very evil. Lots of Americans dead. The U.S. Embassy was destroyed. Chief of Station killed. U.S. Marines, French paratroopers, let's not forget. So this is a bad group. And, Israel is just absolutely mastery of such a sophisticated supply chain interdiction. They had to use big data analytics, understand they were going low tech, just like Hamas went low tech in the year building up to October 7, operational security. So Hezbollah says, well, we're going to go low tech also. But guess what? Israeli intelligence and everything, the machine was tuned to that, and they immediately picked up on that. Might have even been an Israeli front company They bought retro old pagers in mass, put little explosive charges in them. Also, other material. You could have done this with a Keurig coffee maker. Keurig isn't a sponsor of the show, correct?
No,
No.
Okay,
no,
so
not at all.
okay,
Trust
so
me,
you could.
I don't want to say bad things about Keurig, but
Yeah.
okay,
You-
keep going. Sorry.
You could have done this with anything, and the Israelis were brilliant. Now, there's been Panetta, who I've been in the room with several times. I just disgraceful. He calls it a terrorist operation. No,
Yeah, it's stupid.
it was the most effective operation within the law of warfare, taking out in mass leadership, not necessarily killing them, but maiming them, which is a good thing too. You maim somebody, you take 2 or 3 additional folks off the battlefield to take care of them. And so masterful. These people mess up everything they touch. It's a brutal, evil society they've established in Lebanon. I have no sympathy. They are, oh, by the way, a designated terrorist group.
Right.
Too bad. Bad things happen when you're terrorists.
Right. So a couple things on that. So Joe Biden, even to last night, like at 4 o'clock before he went to bed in the afternoon, he was calling for another ceasefire. Of course, we know how those are well worked out. Matt Miller, the State Department spokesman, was accused by the Israelis of leaking the timeline of their ground invasion. Did you hear that? And then
If
the Atlantic, and then the Atlantic, go ahead.
Well, if Jake Sullivan will leak the names
Go
of
ahead, John.
Mossad agents, I have no doubt that Jake Sullivan. So once Iran ripped off the Trump campaign documents in July, I said, I guarantee you the Harris campaign has these documents. So you can't trust. Jake Sullivan is leaking everything. So this is why the Israelis, despise the Biden team. They leak everything.
So that's the next thing I wanted to get to. Did you? There's an Atlantic article out. There's Jake Sullivan before he put the makeup on. So that's when he gets up in the morning.
That's an insult to Beaker.
Well, that's true. I'm sure Dr. Bunsen Honeydew doesn't like us either for using Beaker as Jake
He's
Sullivan.
pretty upset about it.
I know. But my point being is that the Atlantic leaked that Jake Sullivan stopped the Israelis from doing this a year ago. Basically, the Israelis wanted to do this way earlier. And to your point, John, so let me give you some components here. So the concept was to map through enhanced intelligence the entire infrastructure of a terrorist organization. Then once you've mapped it, you go about segmenting it so you understand how each section works and figure out methods to defeat each section. You then put that together in a comprehensive strategy at what we call a campaign plan. And then the moment you think that they're going to do an attack against a major target, you basically sever their tendons and dismantle them, right? We had something called Able Danger that was supposed to do that against Al-Qaeda before 9/11. Just saying. So the Israelis have acknowledged that most of what they've seen, they've learned from us. So I'm just letting you know that the basic concept of something called Able Danger, which I did, which we talked about yesterday on the show. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Hugh Shelton, gave Pete Schoonmaker the task of figuring out a creative way to defeat Al-Qaeda before 9/11. That was written by a guy you probably know, Joe Dunford. Colonel Joe Dunford, Chief of Staff to Shelton, wrote out the plan. And by the way, it may have contained all the different segments we're talking about regarding what happened with the Israelis. So I'm just saying that the one thing that differed between Able Danger and the Israeli plan is the Israelis had the political will to use it and to use it with impunity. So I think that's the key thing, John, is they're trying to achieve victory. Would you agree with that?
What exactly did you say, Tony? Say that again, please.
Which part? I said a lot.
It was a blank to achieve victory. It was
it was a basic. The Israelis have given the permission, the political freedom to let them achieve victory using their plan. That's the difference.
Yeah,
My judgment.
absolutely. It's funny because I came into the J3 Special Operations Directorate on the Joint Staff shortly after about January of 2002. I had spent the first 3 months down at Central Command J5. But
Yeah.
when I was in J3 and working Afghanistan, working Yemen, working the lead up to Iraq, OIF, I came across a lot of plans that somebody named Richard Clark, Dick Clark, not American
yes.
Bandstand Dick Clark, but the national security advisor at the White House, who had asked for exactly those plans. And they had been briefed multiple times in the late 90s, 2000, and leading up to 9/11. So I saw the plans in detail, and it seemed like Dick Clark was the one pushing for this, but he kept on getting swatted down and canceled. But I saw plan after plan of going after the network, and
Exactly.
very sophisticated. Able Danger was absolutely part of this, and but it seemed to get rejected over and over again. Above,
I wonder why.
Dick, yeah.
No, so that's my point to the whole thing, is that the Israelis had the political will to allow their military and intelligence networks to do their job, and obviously they're continuing to do that today. So the key thing, obviously, is nothing Israelis have done we could not have done in some form, as far as I'm concerned. But more importantly, John, they've filled the vacuum that was left by us. I mean, right? I mean, they're the ones dominating. They have taken and dominated the space that the United States used to fill in the Middle East. Would you agree with that, or is that overstated?
Yeah, they have the will, the skin in the game, and are carrying it out very methodically. Going in a year ago probably would have been unwise. What I like is they're taking care of it very methodically. Slow is good. And so instead of doing this simultaneously with Hamas, they've essentially wiped out Hamas. There's some remnants left, in certain small enclaves, but they've essentially decimated Hamas. They've degraded the Houthis. Unfortunately, we've kind of given up that, but that's another story. But now they're going after Hezbollah. But Iran has been totally intimidated, and they were the ones who have been reporting. They were tasked by President Xi of China. Okay, you got the CENTCOM, you got the Middle East area of operations. Go for it. And Iran is having to report back to the master. That Iran is a colony of China. Iran would not exist without sales of oil and gas to China.
Exactly.
And they're building a pipeline all the way to China to make sure China has resilient connection to the gas and oil of Iran. And there's a huge Chinese footprint of advisors inside of Iran. Huge. I mean, I'd say easily 10,000, counting all the different groups and military. So, but Iran has gotten schwacked, and every time it tries to go left, they get schwacked. They go right, they get schwacked. They sit down, they get schwacked. They lock themselves in the bathroom, they get schwacked. I mean, they can't make a move. And well, this is too bad. They caused this. They started this.
So, but part of my next question, I don't want to get us in trouble, because I know you try to keep better relations with DoD than I do. Just saying, because but my question is, and by the way, Lloyd Austin, shout out to Lloyd Austin, because he's actually been out there tweeting saying, yeah, they should go take care of this, and actually was on the phone with his counterpart Gallant over the weekend saying, yeah, go do this. So he's the only guy with the sanity to just let them do what they're doing. But John, my question has to do with the fact that the other part of the government, not the DoD side, the State Department and Jake Sullivan's side, seem to be trying to hold back the Israelis from doing what's necessary. Now, do you think the Iranians were counting on the Biden administration to hold back the Israelis? And if so, what do you think the Israelis now? What do you think Iran now thinks now that failed?
Well, Iran has penetrated the White House and senior leadership of Department of Defense. So they probably thought they were going to get some kind of insurance policy, but there's a lot of holes in this insurance policy. Even though they got, I think it's Hamar Bitar on the White House staff, National Security Council. They got Rob Malley and his sycophants.
Oh yeah, he's still being investigated. I mean, he leaked intelligence from everything.
Yeah, he's still on the State Department website now. He's on an unpaid leave of absence. He took a teaching gig at a university because he's on an unpaid leave of absence, but he's still on the State Department website. But so they feel they had kind of penetrated the Harris White House. I don't even acknowledge Biden. I mean, the real beaker here is Biden. I mean, we haven't had a president since January of 21. Harris is the president, and they unlawfully transferred power. So, the Iranians thought they had really had an insurance policy. It hasn't worked out so well, but Jake Sullivan is an absolute weasel. Nobody respects him. Nobody trusts him. I mean, this is the guy who ran the the Russia hoax. Right. He had his fingerprints on the 51 intel officer letter from 2020, along with Tony Blinken, a weasel. Yes. And that's
but John, according to Jake Sullivan, he's the smartest guy in the room. Did you know that he tells people that all the time? I don't know.
Well, as long as there's nobody else in the room, that's correct.
Or Dr. Honeydew.
Heyo, that's a good one.
Oh, that's you get a heyo for that. Heyo.
Hey, that's a heyo. That's a heyo. That's right.
Club. I like that too.
So, Karen, I got to ask you. Do you feel better with what John's saying about a woman being in charge of the nation?
No, but you know what I do feel better about? I do actually feel very much more optimistic about the Israeli strategy in all of this, hearing both of you talk during that interview. And I was trying to look at the light because I've been trying to figure out what the good in all of this is. And from a strategic perspective, I think so many of us are so heartbroken over this conflict and heartbroken over the fact that this administration has just abandoned American ideals. Exactly. I just look at her and I just think communist. It's not even I can't even today, I'm just feeling so angry. I feel like I can't even look at her. It's just, it's appalling where we're at. It really is.
It is. So, John, did you know that my inside, the White House source gave me one of Jake Sullivan's artificial intelligence decision-making tools a few weeks ago? You know that? So apparently Jake has the decision pickle. And if you push the button, the pickle tells you what's going to happen. So let's ask the pickle, do you think the Iranians will back off the war with the Israelis? I say so. See, it's infallible. It's infallible. So this is what Jake Sullivan uses for his decisions. Just saying,
Rachel Levine does not use that.
You can pick it up on Amazon, by the way. I don't get any money from this, but all sources tell me this is what Jake uses. Well, I don't want to say what else he uses it for. Just saying. I don't want to.
He is an absolute weasel. But obviously, who in the world is president? I mean, I'll just take Biden at his profession of transferring power. He said on The View, she's making all the decisions. I take that as a formal transition of authority. Where in the world is the 25th Amendment in this? We have had an unlawful transfer. I guess we have a GS-15 in the White House Situation Room with the nuclear codes. I guess that's who is the leader.
Well, he's got the nuclear codes and the Domino's pizza number side by side. So let's hope he doesn't mix them up, right? I think that's
right. I still prefer him over her with all that.
That's right. I mean, we got to let you go, John. I know you got to get off and do some other stuff. So I'd love to have you come back, continue this discussion, because I think Karen understands better. I think some of the things going on. One of the things that doesn't happen, as you know, because we're on, Newsmax all the time, mainstream media, they're out to lunch on this. They don't want to talk about it because the very thing you just said, they don't want to draw attention to the fact that Kamala Ding Dong or whoever is now in charge and nobody knows what's going on. Right. I mean, so.
We've had an unlawful transfer of power. I mean, this is a constitutional crisis. We should be all over this. Who in the world is president right now?
Well, it certainly ain't Joe Biden. And I don't want to divert. Did you see the Saturday Night Live cold opening. If not, you need to see it. We razzed that yesterday. I mean, Dana Carvey was magnificent as but Joe Biden. So it was great. So
Oh, a shout out to Jim Gaffigan too. By the way, he was a great.
Jim was
Walls.
great as
He was a fantastic
Tim Walls.
Walls.
Yeah.
There we go.
So, all right. Well, thanks, John. We'll ask you back soon. Okay. We'll let you
Absolutely.
go.
Looking forward.
Colonel John Mills leaving there. So thanks, John, for being here. We'll see you
You
soon.
bet. All right. Take care.
That was a great discussion of what's really going on. And Karen, I know sometimes we get a little bit pedantic because this is our specialty.
I love it.
Man, what the Israelis did was brilliant. And
it's so good.
The best decision they made was to literally ignore Beaker in the White House because they are horrible.
This leads me to
and not only the utter defiance, Tony, Chris, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to get the thought out real quick because I'll forget it because that's the way my mind works. You know, they not only defied that, it almost seems like this was the plan all along, like put these people in power and then blow them up. I mean, just in the simplest terms possible. And Chris, I was so amazed by that. When you think about it so simplistically, it really is brilliant. And the Israelis are brilliant. They always have been.
Yeah. Well, it leads me to a question. I want to ask both of you. I do want to ask both of you this question before we move forward, because you got a lot of good stuff, Tony, coming on. Constantly over the last year and a half, you heard the Biden administration and the UN collectively saying, we don't want an escalation. We don't want an escalation. They know the terrorist threat, and the threat extends to the countries around the world. My question to you is, are they afraid of a real escalation in the Middle East as in war, or are they afraid of an escalation because they know Israel will come out on top?
Karen, go ahead. You want to go first?
It's an interesting question. It wouldn't be one that I would think about, but I think Israel has to come out on top. I mean, do they not, Tony? Like, I just don't think that there's any way that we keep peace in this country if we don't have control in the Middle East. And isn't Israel the simplest part of all of that? Doesn't it all fall apart without them?
So I think you have to understand there's a larger long-term issue here that goes back generations. And that is essentially the removal of the Constitution and Republic. Believe it or not, what you see playing out in the Middle East has to do with our basic sovereignty. So what's happening is you have a group, like Chris said, they've kind of brought up together. They're invested in saying one thing and doing something else. The something else is chaos. They believe that the breaking down of Western civilization at all, the whole thing, to include the Israelis, to include the Europeans, will benefit them because they're seeking global feudal mercantilism. Basically, it's the global governance. So if you're going to get global governance, Karen, you have to break down all the other local governance. That's why they're so against America first. Remember, MAGA, make America great again. Oh, we don't want to do that. We don't want to have Poland. Look at the strong leaders there. Anybody who stands up and says, no, we love our sovereignty. I love sovereignty. I love nations which have identity, but it doesn't make them bad. It makes them sovereign. But so what they believe, the left, Kamala and Dana Carvey, I mean, Joe Biden, Dana did such a good job, but indistinguishable at this point. They want the chaos. So that's why you see them funding $175 billion to Ukraine when in a war we shouldn't be in the middle of. That's why you see them giving Iran sanctions relief to $30 billion, because they're not stupid, Karen. They know where that money's going to go. It's going to go to Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthi. They know that, and they encourage that, but they pretend they don't know that. Oh, we didn't know. Of course they knew.
It's insane.
Yep, and this is why
it's crazy.
And this is why John Kerry came on in front of the World Economic Forum and the UN last week saying, First Amendment, we don't need no stinking First Amendment.
That's right. So, and it's great that he finally got those bolts taken out of his neck. I think I like him better with the bolts, but I don't know.
You got to call him Bolt Neck.
Old Bolt Neck. I love John Kerry. John, did you know, Karen, that he had his blood surgically removed back in the 70s? Now Heinz 57 ketchup runs through him. It's much
None
better.
of that would surprise me. Vodka runs through Nancy Pelosi's veins, and nobody's done anything about that.
I know.
So these are the people. This is the representation they have.
Features. Yeah, I know. So, man. So, all right. So,
and all they have is attack these liberals. I yesterday, and I won't get into the whole long and sordid story, but I had a lady sitting next to me on an airplane, and the people who are still wearing masks, I mean, if you have a valid medical condition and there's some reason you have to, then I have, I have nothing to say. But if you're just somebody who's doing it because you're in some way stating your political views, I have a real problem with it. And I knew yesterday I was on a commercial flight. Shout out to Mike and Tracy Caruso, because they saw me get sort of escorted away by some Delta agents to, be questioned about a few. Yeah. And I actually thought I was having a nice conversation with this lady. Like, I thought we were vibing, but apparently we weren't. So,
well, you can't question anybody, no matter how friendly. I mean, I had an exchange with a certain local leader regarding a certain monument we have here in town. There's a big controversy. There's a New York Times article about it. I'm sorry, Wall Street Journal. Echoes from the past. There's a big debate about a Confederate monument here in town, and it's covered. I mean, it's mainstream media. So anyway, I correctly pointed out one of the left protesters that their sign was incorrect. And this person said, oh, you're a racist.
Of course.
Really? I'm a racist because I know facts. Yes. And I said, well, because she said, you don't know history. It's like, yeah, I do. I used to teach some courses at the U.S. Army War College. Oh, no, you're a bigot and a racist. Like, okay.
Oh, yeah. See,
so
that's their answer.
You can't, there's certain folks, no matter how gentle you are, they will not accept any dialogue. It's just, if you say something that factually undermines their point of view, you're the enemy. And so
I was profiled the minute I sat in that seat. I was profiled. She profiled me. She was waiting for her moment to take a dig at me, just waiting. And she did. And it was great. It was fine. Everything was great. Delta was amazing. But at the end of the day, I'm like, really, like, this is where we are. Like, sometimes I forget. And I had this gut feeling after she had been so nice to me. I was like, this isn't nice. This is going sideways. Like, this is not going to be good.
She probably thought you were a Karen, not a Karen.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Who's the real Karen there? That's the whole question you have to ask yourself. But that's how divided we are as a country. And this seems, I mean, nice older woman, in my opinion. I didn't really, although I saw it coming, I'm still surprised by it, because it's just, we're so divided at this point that people have taken up this extremist opinion. And then you think about terrorism and all these things we should be afraid of. And, it's the extremists, and it's the dirty hands wanting to point the fingers. They want to say MAGA this and extremist this, but they're the extremists. Look at this outrageousness.
No, that's why I was down at my friend Lori Buckout, retired Lori Buckout's running for the 1st District here in North Carolina for Congress against Don Davis. And I volunteered down at her office. I sit my shift down there on Mondays. And it was amazing, Karen, to talk to just everyday citizens who came in for signs, and they came in to talk, and they just want to be left alone. I think a lot of folks have woken up to a system which does not benefit them. And like when you hear Kamala talk about, oh, your dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, they don't want her involved with their dreams and ambitions. It's like, I don't want your stuff in my stuff. And I mean, so,
it's like the abortion issue. Okay. Like, the fact that, like, take everything else out of it, you're pro-life, pro-choice, but whatever. How much of an issue is this really on a day-to-day basis in this country? Okay. It is a problem for women in a certain age bracket, in a small portion of the population, yet it's a conversation that never leaves their mouths, no matter what. And the reason being, because it is divisive, because it cuts and it wounds people, and it makes them angry.
I had a discussion to that point, real quick, Chris. I know we need to get back on track, and I'll let you know in a second. I had a discussion with someone I've known since 1982. She's older than me by 10 years, and she was yelling at me for being a Trump supporter, or not, on text, saying, how can you support someone who removed abortion, protecting abortion rights? Like, well, first off, why are you worried about this? Well, it's like, I think you're past concern. And secondly, it's not what he did.
Maybe she's.
You should have texted that.
I did. She was upset. Just say it's like she was not happy with it.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
But I still prayers for her, because she actually lives in Nashville. So prayers for her.
Oh, definitely.
So,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, it's like, yeah, she was not happy about, I know, haha. Yes, I see people are laughing, but it's true. So anyway, but let's get back to what Chris.
Okay, let's go. Let's
I'm
go.
gonna get
Sorry,
more
I got us
trouble.
off track. I had a moment.
No. This is good. All right, Chris. What's next?
Let's see what we have. We have a lot of stuff going on here. You talked
And
about
don't forget to remind me to do the read early this show. So I
yeah,
don't
we're
get it
gonna
the
we're
last
gonna
minute.
do that. We're gonna talk about Paul Stone
Yeah.
in just a little bit. But did
Yeah.
you guys hear that Zachary Levi may have killed his own career? Now this is the good Captain Marvel, not that atrocious Brie Larson.
Oh boy.
But Zachary Levi was speaking very recently at an event, and he was talking about how he supports Trump and why. And Hollywood is really upset about this. This kid's a rising star, by the way, and he's the guy who played again the good Captain Marvel, not the annoying one. And would you like to hear some of this, or let's hear.
I mean, I know you want to play it, and I saw it when you sent over the notes for the show. I immediately saw it. I said, Chris is really excited about this. So I'm completely supportive, although I have no idea what's going on.
I'm not really excited about much, but this is something that happened.
But
I love it.
the thing I wanted to say, and this is
And he's right
Bobby's
here.
point, we are, and you all know this, we are being inundated every single day with poison, not just in the foods that we're eating and not just in the pharmaceuticals that are being shoved down our throats. In the images that we are looking at, the audio that we are hearing through our media, we are being poisoned and lied to. And hear me, we're all being poisoned and lied to. So as we go to the polls, as you guys and your passion and your fervor and wanting to get Donald Trump reelected and recognizing that that is the thing that we need to do, recognize that all of the people on the other side that still believe that Kamala is the answer, they're not, she's not.
And it goes on a little bit longer than this, but the idea is you haven't right after Sam Elliott does that commercial telling us we're not men if we don't vote for Kamala Harris. Sam Elliott of all people. You have a big star, a young star coming out defying Hollywood and saying no, Kamala's not the answer. And could this be something we're going to see a little bit more and more of in the coming month? Because after a while, you're going to think if all these stars that people want to see are moving over here, we can't blacklist everybody.
Sam Elliott spent one too many months in the saddle, and I think he lost his cojones. So I think that's sad.
He was sitting down at Brokeback Mountain this time.
Oh, yes, he was. He was.
And they always go, the Democrats always go with the same thing. Remember, if you didn't vote for Joe Biden, you weren't black. I mean, it's always the same sort of thing with that.
Karen. Joe Biden. You got to get that pronunciation right. Joe
Biden. It's Joe Biden, right?
Joe Biden.
Tony is to Schaefer, by the way. It's to Schaefer and Joe Biden. Yep.
I guess so.
To Schaefer.
To Schaefer.
To Schaefer.
All right. But no, to your point, Chris, look, we know more and more Hollywood folks are coming forward and doing things, and, like Dana Carvey showed some cojones, so to speak. The cojones that Sam Elliott lost, Dana Carvey picked up and used very effectively on Saturday. So it's his Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Here's another one. I know, Tony, you have something big coming. All right.
I do. Are we ready for that, or we want to do the read first?
Let's do this before the read.
All right. Do one more thing, then we'll get to my thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to do your thing first. But all right, let's.
I don't know. I mean, you're the producer. I'm
Okay.
I'm just the guy that reads stuff. I pretend I know stuff.
Let's tease this. Tony presented to me something really big. Okay, really huge, by the way.
Huge.
And he's going to bring it up. But first, let's do Paul.
All right, we'll do Paul. So look, folks, you guys know that we're here every day with y'all. We love being here with y'all. We love being in the chat. We're making fun of Beaker and Sam Elliott, right, and women of a certain age. No offense, Karen.
It's not
that age.
You're not that age. It's all good. I'm not. You know what? My gender isn't really always making me proud. Like yesterday was a bad moment.
Miss Daisy. Nobody's driving.
It's fine. It's all good. I'm okay.
Right.
So no steel magnolias for you.
Anyway, not yet. Not yet. Aspire.
So anyway. So, but Paul Stone is the guy you need to go to for not magnolias, but gold and silver. So check him out. Go look out at colonialmetalsgroup.com/Ed-Henry. Our global overlord, Ed Henry, good guy. Yes. Oh, did I pushed the pickle? The pickle was talking to me. Sorry about that. Jake Sullivan, channeling Jake Sullivan. Anyway, we got to get back. But check out Paul Stone's, folks. You will not be unhappy. You'll be happy. You'll be glad. You'll be ecstatic, because it's a good thing to create security for your family. There he is, the slave master himself, Ed Henry. 800-805-4034, 800-805-4034, or go on the internet, go to their website, colonialmetalsgroup.com, /Ed-Henry. Gold and silver. Look at how you can expand your portfolio to have things that are real. It was good enough for the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, and for ancient civilizations. The Romans. Remember those guys?
Right.
Brute.
You can't walk like a Roman, like you can do an Egyptian.
Yeah, you. That's right. So we should get. I wonder if we could get her on. She's pretty cool. Anyway, so let's not go down there. Yeah, she's cool. Anyway, check out Paul Stone and his team. Again, colonialmetalsgroup.com /Ed-Henry, or 800-805-4034. Okay, back to the show. So one of the things notable that happened over the weekend, as a matter of fact, at a Kamala Harris event. Now imagine this. Did you know that they pulled out and put up a 43-foot nude Kamala?
Again, no, I actually didn't.
I saw this
on the show.
They didn't. No, that's my point.
I was like, I saw this on the discussion points for the show, and I was like, guess I'll see that when we pull that out on the show.
No, that's my point.
No idea what's going on.
No. This is my point. This is exactly my point.
That's great.
Your response was what I was going for. It's like, what?
Good.
What?
Yeah.
No,
what?
That's my point. It was a 43-foot new Donald Trump.
I can't.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, what if our side did that to Kamala? That's exactly my point.
It's unbelievable. But they're just the whole thing's so ridiculous. It's such a sideshow, and it's so scary, like going into all this. And I love the conversation. I'd rather talk about the Middle East at this point, because what's happening in this country on a day-to-day basis is in some ways more depressing, but hinges so much on what's happening there.
So that's why I wanted to present it the way I did, because what if this was a 43-foot nude Kamala? Well,
first, nobody would want to see that. That's number one. Okay, let's start there.
Well, yeah.
How about this? How about a 43-foot nude Nancy Pelosi?
Oh God.
Just made you lose.
Anything
breakfast.
I say will get me in trouble. I'm saying nothing to that. Anything.
That would be a big vodka bottle filling that thing anyway.
Anything I say. But my point being, Karen had the response. I was like, what?
I was like, wait, what's happening on the show? Okay.
That's it. Because this is not political. Now get this.
These are people that put cat hats on their heads and marched around Washington, D.C. Like, this is the party of ridiculousness. This has been going on for in my perception, about a decade, where they will do things that are just outrageous and ridiculous to a point where they're sexually offensive, in my opinion. And it's like, who wants to see that?
Offensive.
Well, apparently they do.
Right. This was a completely nude, atomically. I don't know if it's correct or not. I don't want to go down that path.
We don't want to go down that. No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't see if I say anything on that, I'm going to get in trouble. So I can't say anything about that.
Be careful. I agree, Tony. Be careful.
I have to be careful. But you've helped make my point. My point is, now get this. Not only are they happy with apparently the results, whatever the results were in Las Vegas, Karen, they're bringing this down around to the swing states now. Do you think this is going to help them?
I don't know. I can't. I just don't even know what to say. Like, it's so bad. And, I think maybe we should have mental illness counselors on the sidelines. Like, maybe there's some room for us to, I don't know, like, find the people that potentially could harm us. But I'm not saying like round them up and send them somewhere. Let's not get crazy. I'm being very careful what I say here, because again, anything I say could be used against me. But there's something wrong if you're going to support this. There's something wrong if you're going there in your mind that you think this is okay, because this is not respectful of the country that you live in and what you should want to represent for your children and where we're headed and a million other things. It's wild to me. It's just.
Then I'll say it. I'll say it for both of you then. Children run the Democrat Party. That's it. People with the mentalities of children run the party. That's why they think this is such a positive idea. Oh, let's put up a naked Trump. Let's dance around like children.
That's very kind.
Let's tell everybody that we're gonna give them free money because that's what we're gonna do. That's exactly what's happening. The idea is the man child. You know the concept of the man child. You have your woman children there too. That's what Kamala Harris is. That's what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is. They have the mentalities of children, and they appeal to people who think the same way.
They have been mentally susceptible to,
Right.
a communist regime that has taken over this country.
And
let's call it what it is.
Yep. Communism attracts abject children. Really.
I just think there's so much wrong. I really think, and we really do have a mental illness, like all joking aside, like mental illness is such a prevalent issue in this country that's not being addressed really in large part because we have so many other things that we have to focus on because it's been the cause of so many problems. And I was so furious, watching Kamala get up there and talk about this equity business about, the storm victims,
so
like we talked about at the beginning of the show. Yeah. Did we have that clip?
I want to get back into that. So Karen, but my basic point you helped me make was we would all be super offended if it was Kamala Harris, just because, well, she's offensive to begin with, just saying.
Right.
But the idea is that someone would do that to nobody would ever do that on our side. I can't contemplate anybody being that, I don't even know, nuts. I guess, yeah.
Heady and immature and crazy and just all of it. It's all wrapped into one.
Well, let's get into the nuts part of equity, because according to Kamala, apparently, Karen, if you're hurting, if you're in a zone where bad things have happened, well, you're not going to get the aid necessarily, right, Chris?
Well, let's hear from her. How about that?
Let's hear from her.
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so absolutely. And so we have to address this.
Can I just interject here? See, she's talking to people like they're children. She's talking to people like she's a kindergarten teacher talking to children.
In a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities and do that
Equal
work.
outcome.
That's right. So, Karen, did you know that when the rain fell over in Asheville, it fell heavier in Black communities? Did you know that? Because apparently the clouds would just kind of do 29 inches here, and then they'd stop and they'd bypass the white communities, because apparently, according to Kamala, well, they weren't impacted as badly, right? I mean, that's what she's saying.
It's just all of it's a cover. She doesn't care if they're Black. You know what she cares about? She cares about socialism. And if you listen to what she's saying and you read between the lines, it's not about Black or white or anything else. It's about the fact that they want everybody to be at an equal level. And she actually says that. She says it, and then she throws race into it to cover it up and make it divisive and make everybody feel a little bit like, should I, feel badly here? But it's absolutely so obvious, because they talk about equalization. They talk about, we have some people that started out with more and some people that started out with less. And this isn't okay, because the government needs to be the great equalizer of all of you, because it doesn't matter how hard you work in this country anymore. We just all want to make you the same.
Yeah, I know. It's insane, literally. So if it's not about making, trying to, I don't even know what you want to call it, but the whole Trump thing, they're not calling you racist. They're calling you crazy. And it's like, I'm pretty sure they're the crazy ones, right, Chris? I mean, am I missing something here?
No, you're not missing anything. They are crazy. The fact is, those racist white clouds that you were talking about, like you said, rained all over the Black communities. And this is what these people are going to keep saying. Well, why do you think East Palestine, Ohio didn't get the attention it deserved very quickly?
Republican
the same policy that Harris was explaining.
I don't even, I mean, I was there twice. President Trump was there. They sent Buttigieg for, a photo op after, I don't remember, 14 days after the spill. It was absolute insanity. Those communities are still in chaos, and they're ignored because it's MAGA country. It's just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's basically not a minority neighborhood or not minority this or that. And the thing is, they want to be able to pat themselves on the back saying we're uplifting minorities. Unfortunately, their own policies are destroying minority communities right now as far as immigration is concerned. And I can get down that
Absolutely.
rabbit hole for Tony.
You could.
Long.
Well, you're the producer.
Sure.
So where are we going next, Chris? We've got 10 minutes left. So
Okay.
what do you got in store for us?
Let's do a quick one. Then I want to ask you about what you think what's going on with the debate, because this bothers me, and I want to see if it bothers you too. And this is something I don't think people are really talking about. They did it. They're trying to do it to Donald Trump. They've been trying for almost a year, maybe over that. They did it to Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil, threw him in jail, and now the French commies are trying to do the. Excuse me, the French left is trying to throw Marine Le Pen in jail because they don't want her running for president again. You get more popular, you have some good ideas, and it ruins and it goes against their narrow worldview. You're going to be persecuted. Maybe that's even better. But this is what's happening. They're putting her on trial for supposed abuse of EU funds.
So I'm always skeptical of what comes out of horse-eating surrender monkeys whenever I see it. Just saying, I worry about the French sometimes. I mean, did you hear about the whole? Karen, did you hear about this? They had a big sale of weapons.
Yeah.
World War II only dropped once. They're great. You can pick them up really cheap.
But
there's so much wrong in France, and it's again such a good illustration of what happens of when you let immigration, take over, and the fact that people who live in Paris can't walk through half of the city anymore because it's not even the same. It's a foreign country. It doesn't even belong to France.
Yeah.
But we have to pay attention here. This is very important. The Soviet Union used to throw dissidents in jail all the time. North Korea throws dissidents in jail and murders 3 generations worth of them. This is a country that's already working on throwing dissidents in jail and has thrown some in jail on, we'll say, trumped up charges. You have Borsellino ran for president. Looney Luna doesn't want him running again. Neither does the establishment left. They don't want another Javier Milei. And I believe if Javier Milei somehow loses the next election, they're going to do something to him too. What they're doing is to Marine Le Pen. It's going to be, I don't think Nigel Farage will be safe pretty soon too, either.
No, this is Soviet. This is what the Soviets did. I always say this, and people think I'm not joking. You watch my Twitter feed, I talk about Soviet level wrongdoing. This is what the Soviets did.
Exactly.
If you start rising up in the system and you decide to turn on the system, you're gonna go, you're gonna be dealt with. And so there's a great movie I promoted yesterday. I don't get anything out of it. The Death of Stalin. So there's a funny way to understand the Soviet Union. It kind of illustrates their system, and that totalitarianism is what you see the left in Europe, the left here, all trying to push us towards. The idea that Ocasio-Cortez, she talked about it the other day. There's Death of Stalin. So yeah, check it out. There's some good actors in that. It's not woke. It's not woke. As a matter of fact, it's very politically incorrect. So I think you'll enjoy it. But just study that. Understand that system. Another movie that you can watch the Soviet system fail is Chernobyl. You want to see what a system of horror looks like? Chernobyl was a great miniseries to go check out. Again, I don't get anything out of it, but it helps make my point. But Karen, that's the thing that I think we have to be aware of at this point is that, and Boltnick said it yesterday, freedom of speech gets in the way of us controlling what you think.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Summing it up right there. We're against America. I mean, can you say it any clearer? You're against the First Amendment. There's a reason it's the First Amendment. It's number 1 on the list. And you're going to cross that off. I mean, just take out the foundation of America. And that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Right.
So simple.
And he was saying that free speech in democratic and, basically democratic nations or republics around the world, the free world, is a hindrance to their agenda and how quickly they want to implement it. This is what he was saying. And this is exactly how these people think. And so watch out. Every time they attack a right in the Bill of Rights, and they do this systematically, the 10th, the 4th, the 2nd, the 1st, and there's a prime targets right there. It's because it's for their full worldwide agenda and what they want to push upon all of us.
Yeah. Yep.
All right,
Well,
Karen.
you know what? I have to say there were bright parts today. I'm happy about what I heard about the Middle East conflict. So I'm going to leave with that. And I'm going to wish all the Patriots a great week. I can't wait to see you guys next Tuesday.
Well, great seeing you, Karen. Thank you for being here. It was a great show. We
course.
always loved you and having you do Jesus Calling for us, and the folks love having you here to be with us. So I hope maybe maybe the Overlord will see fit to let us expand the show back out to more days during the week.
I don't know. The Overlord, he might be in the chat. He needs to just, all he's got to do is text me back, hit me up.
He watches us like a hawk, and we're always trying to say something to get us fired, but no luck so far. So
yeah, no, he likes having us around. I like him. He's a good Overlord.
So we'll continue to work on this. Yes, thanks, Karen. Yeah, hey-o.
Bye.
Yeah. So anyway, so back over to you, Chris. Did you have one other topic you wanted me to hit this morning?
I just want to ask you guys what you thought about what you think. A little 1 or 2 minute preview about tonight's debate.
Oh, the debate.
Tony's and Karen's takes. Here we go.
I thought Karen was leaving. Karen, can you?
I'll hang out for 5 more. I'm okay. I'll hang out for 5 more minutes. I got a little time.
All right. So
I'm good.
So what do you? So do you think Tim Walz will finally admit that he works for China tonight during the debate? I don't know. I'm hoping.
No, and I think it's going to be interesting. I was looking at like what CBS is going to do and how they're going to sway this thing, and it's going to be interesting to see. The questions are going to be totally pointed. The questions are going to be ridiculous. So they're not going to be anything that any of us want to answer. Basically, it's going to be my take.
So if they have questions about toe fungus, who do you think will answer better, Tim Walz or? There he is, man. Speaking of toe fungus, man.
That's a perfect picture.
If there was a poster boy for toe fungus, it would be Tim Walz, right? I think so. So
he's going to try to present himself, in my opinion, tonight as like some sort of like relatable dad character. Like that's, I think, the theme that he's going with. Since they're all actors, I'm going to say that's how he's been cast for this evening.
Yeah.
Chris, do you think he could hire Jim Gaffigan to show up in his place?
I think Jim Gaffigan would do a better job, as a matter of fact. Vance is going to be pretty much every bit as stuffy as Mike Pence. So we'll see how this works. Do you think Walz is going to try to pull an "I'm speaking" on him? It's a possibility.
Something like that. Yeah,
it's a possibility. I believe he's going to pull one because Kamala didn't get to have hers. He's going to try to have one of those viral moments. And I think he's going to try too hard to do it that it's going to start looking ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to tell you guys too, the chat has been talking about HAARP like crazy and talking about everything that's gone on with this storm. And I think, I'm not back till next Tuesday, but there's a lot of questions. Go and reread the chat just about like what's going on and what kind of technology could have speed this. And I'm not saying that it's valid, but our chat is talking about it.
No, we got great folks who think for themselves. I appreciate
they're
being
going
challenged.
Crazy.
That's why we're
watching the chat. I'm like, wow, okay, we're not ignoring you. We're not ignoring you. I'm watching the chat. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll look into this. And by the way, we all love the fact you all love Dr. Corsi. Our evil overlord texted me yesterday, said, "Hey, who's that guy who talks about the algorithm? I thought we were in trouble."
He's back on Monday.
He's back on Monday. That's right. So Dr. Jerry Corsi and the algorithms. That sounds like a band.
Hey, that'd be a great
band. In the algorithm.
That sounds like a band.
That's like a jazz band,
I want to be a backup dancer. If there's a band, I can't sing, but can I be a backup dancer? That would be amazing.
If you could shred, let's make it a metal band. All right, there we go. Let's make it a metal band.
Jerry Corsi and the algorithms. Man, oh man, we come up with a new band name for him.
Or we could be a rap band because I'm a pretty damn good human beatbox.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Run CMD. Run something. Run CMD.
There we go.
I loved Run DMC in the day too. They were cool. I loved those guys.
They were cool.
They incorporated rock and rap, and they were fantastic. They were.
That's right.
Yes. Them invited what's his name? Positive K. I don't know. Just like to throw that name around, but they were a great rap.
I don't think I knew Positive K.
No, Positive K had one hit song.
Did you?
Rap was fun. You had Coolio, you had Snoop Dogg, you had characters, and you knew they were characters. It wasn't, there was much more theatrics in music back in the day. Like you weren't trying to pretend that was your real personality. You were going to get on stage. I mean, look at Elton John. I mean, whoever you want to be while you're acting.
Nobody was better than the Biz.
I love Elton John. I grew up listening to Yellow Brick Road and all those songs. It was great. Who cares?
Maybe I'll listen to Elton John today in the office. Maybe that's my plan.
Man, well, nobody was better than Biz Marquis, the Biz. That's right. Nobody beats
that's
the
right.
Biz.
And he kept his washboard chest, right, Chris? Oh no, I'm getting
there you go.
the other Marquis.
No, Biz Marquis. I was thinking of
Biz Marquis. You know, I miss what's his name? 911. What's that guy's name? 911 is a dope. It's a joke. What was that guy? You know,
I don't remember now.
Oh wow, that's really
you got me on that
is
one.
a joke. You know, he had.
I do remember what you're talking about, but I can't like.
Chest.
That was Flava Flav. So I actually I know his sister.
You know,
I know his sister.
Yeah, you know, and I'm friends with what's his name, the white rapper down in Florida, down your neck of the woods. With oh my God, Vanilla Ice. Vanilla and Ice are friends on
he used to live, his ex-wife used to live in my neighborhood, and his daughter Dusty used to babysit my kids at one point. It's a very small world. Yeah.
Grandmaster Flash was great. Yep. All sorts of,
these are real people. You know, the thing is like, I guess I don't know, maybe this is age on all of us too. Like, you know, it's like you look at like P. Diddy, you know, now in this situation is definitely not relatable, but was never relatable. He was like this big, rich personality that like nobody could like relate to, like Run DMC. Like these guys were humble. They came to the skating rink with us and like rapped while we skated around in middle school. Like they did concerts in shopping malls. Like it was a different time. It was beautiful. The 80s and 90s.
People who have 8,000 dildos and 1,000 containers of lube, I don't think they're normal.
Hey,
that's true. That's out of the indictment. I'm not making that up. You know, people always get upset if they think I'm being too blue. It's like, that's in the indictment. I'm just saying. I'm not making that up.
And the rabbit.
Money is the root of all evil. Isn't that what they say? Money is the root of all evil. I think some of these people who are really, 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 really rich are really, 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 really crazy.
Really, really, really evil. Yeah,
well, they can afford
I
to
think
be,
so.
Crazy, but yeah.
I mean, and there's a great picture of Puff Daddy and Hillary Clinton. It's like they were made to be a couple.
Yeah. Wow,
So,
that would be a sight to see.
We got to leave it there because we're over time again.
Yep.
So we'll have to talk. You know, Karen, we always have more topics and more folks that want to hear from us than we have time. And it's because, you know, we've been given a constraint by certain powers above us, just saying. So we are, you know, there she is.
We have the
so speaking of evil powers. So, man, look at, boy, do you think they did something to get there? I don't, oh my goodness. Oh,
payback for Monica.
Lube and Hillary Clinton. Man,
Monica
I don't know.
Payback.
I don't know.
There we go.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. Anyway, well, we got to go. On that high note,
okay,
we got to go. So anyway, Karen, again, thank you for being here. Folks love you.
Thanks, it's been great.
We love the folks. Chris, we got one more day of this, right?
We are here tomorrow, and we got Barry Morgenstern joining us.
Barry, our friend Barry.
Yep. We're going to do a
photographer.
Love Barry. Tell me, Barry needs to do some pictures for me. Barry needs some new pictures. Where's Barry? I love Barry.
He's up in New York. Yeah,
he does great. He does great photos. He took some beautiful pictures of me years ago.
He's a great patriot.
Great guy. Big patriot.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
So we'll have Barry here tomorrow, and then we'll have Jerry on Monday. So we have a big lineup coming. We got other folks we're trying to bring on. So we'll continue. And Karen will see us. We'll see you next Tuesday again, right?
See you next Tuesday. Yep. Be back here.
All right. Great. Well, thanks, folks. Thanks, Karen. We'll see you all soon.